brutality, and war. The unimaginable horrors perpetrated by the Islamic State still continue unabated. The Russians are at war with Ukraine, and the Palestinians and Israelis have launched full-scale hostilities. Does this alarm you? When you look at the numbers, though, it's clear that wars are becoming less common, with the world population growing. It seems that we are living in the most peaceful period of human history. How is this possible? In September 2014, there were 4 ongoing conflicts that had claimed at least 10,000 lives since the beginning of 2013. There have been 9 other conflicts with over 1,000 deaths and 13 with over 100 deaths since the beginning of 2013. This is far from peaceful, but let's think about this. All of these conflicts are either civil wars or localized conflicts. While civil wars cause terrible suffering, they usually have fewer consequences than wars between states or empires. When 2 nations fight, they can draw much more power and have access to all the resources and every citizen of their country. So why did we go from wars between states to civil wars? It has a lot to do with colonialism and the Cold War. When the Cold War ended, one of the main causes of armed conflict disappeared. However, the fall of communist dictatorships led to new or revived old divisions and the start of new conflicts in liberated states, often leading to civil wars. But more importantly, in 1945, virtually all of Africa, much of Asia, and parts of Latin America were colonies. By 1990, all but a few islands had gained independence. But wait, can we say that the actions of modern multinational corporations in the Third World are no better than colonialism? Let's take the example of the Congo. From 1885, it was a colony under the control of the King of Belgium. Its area was 80 times the size of Belgium. Atrocities committed against the indigenous peoples of the Congo and ruthless economic exploitation led to the death of about half of the Congo's population by 1908. About 10 million Congolese were killed or starved to death. Millions were maimed and burned. Congo's dependence on economic exploitation continued after the end of Belgian rule in 1960. This has only happened more recently. So no, colonialism was far worse than modern predatory capitalism, and it ended only 2 generations ago. Most of the conflicts that are happening now are in regions that 60 years ago were under the control of other countries. But things are getting better. Before 1989, it was common for one side of a civil war to win, but now victory is far less common. At the same time, peace agreements have gone from 10% to almost 40%. Now, what's happening to the rest of the world? Why have nations stopped attacking each other? There are 4 main reasons. First, democratization, the transition from autocracy to democracy. Democratic states rarely go to war with each other. Among all wars between states since 1900, only a minority have been between democracies. Second, globalization. War is no longer an effective means of achieving economic goals as it once was. It is now much cheaper to acquire resources on the world market than to take them away by force. People in other countries cost us more alive than dead. This is a fairly new idea. Third, war is no longer fashionable. Before World War I, battles seemed an inevitable part of human life and a useful tool for accomplishing goals when diplomacy was at a standstill. Now we have rules that declare acts of aggression illegal and establish that the use of armed forces is only permissible for self-defense or with the authorization of the UN Security Council. While these rules are still being violated, it is harder to do so today without causing widespread outrage. Plus, we have the International Criminal Court in The Hague to deal with war crimes, which is relatively new. Fourth, borders are more fixed now. After World War II, most territorial conflicts ceased when most countries recognized international borders and began to respect the autonomy of other states. But is this an anomaly, or are we on the road to a long peace? The truth is, we don't know yet. We need a large enough sample to reject the historical average of 1 or 2 major wars every century, until enough time has passed since World War II to rule out the possibility that the war went nowhere.